going? Can you guys hear me? Mic check. All right. Good evening. Good evening. Yeah, it's already evening indeed. I have to. We have a special guest today. Dan is also joining in a little bit, the CTO, because without Dan and unfortunately Sean cannot make it. But yeah, Dan and Sean are both also core contributors to YieldNest. Without their support, yeah, it would not have been possible to get this far. You guys have always seen my face, but there's a lot of complexity that goes behind all these different behind all these different flows. See if Dan wants to join. Yeah. So Dan is coming to the stage part. Yeah, so I will let everybody just drip in. Parts if you maybe can hustle all the community members and anybody here. Oh, I can see the chat already rolling in. Anybody here, just let me know if any questions. It's yeah, it's go time for YieldNest. We have everything will become clear once you start the AMA. And I will talk a little bit about the DGE. I will talk a little bit about the airdrop. I will talk about everything that's ongoing, and I will talk about the road to get to DGE. So yeah, I will talk about all these components. I'm gonna turn off the camera, turn on the music for like 5 minutes. Also waiting for Dan. So we're gonna start in 5 minutes, guys, and talk to you guys in a bit. Talk soon. All right. Hi, everyone. Are you ready? I got my natural energy drink, my favorite drink that keeps me sharp and going throughout the busy times. All right, let's get started, everyone. Let me check in. So, all right, Dan is also joined. Amazing. Let's get started. How is everybody feeling? We're finally getting a little bit bullish momentum after being basically down bad every day. We're finally getting a little bit of bullish upward momentum. Very, very exciting. And right in the moment that we are ready for our TGE airdrop and everything. So we are really, really bullish as well. Hey, Mr. Jumper, what's up, man? How are you doing? Okay, so yeah, let's get started. So this AMA is kind of in the light of like from 0 to 250, or actually almost 300 million of TVL. It's been a very wild journey. And as I said, it's not only me as a core contributor, but it's also Dan and Sean as kind of the first contributors as well, together on the road from 0 TVL, from an idea like around 2 or 2.5 years ago, where me and Dan already know each other for a long time, yeah, we kind of got rocking. Maybe it's a really nice time, Dan, to also tell a little bit about yourself, because always in the AMAs, it's always everybody knows me, I think, and I've already explained my background and everything, and maybe it's time for maybe Dan, you want to introduce yourself a little bit. Dan is the CTO, takes care of all the tech. Maybe you can tell a little bit about what you've been doing, who you are, and what your background is, people. Yeah,
thanks a lot for the intro. It's great to have all of you guys here. Awesome to meet everybody. I think this is my first MAA that I'm joining. Yeah, it's been an awesome journey. I've been working in crypto for a while now. I started off in 2018 and working on what was back then permission blockchains, because that was still a thing early on after Ethereum was created. People were still trying to take the route of creating private blockchains to solve different problems. So I worked on an Ethereum fork that served a particular business purpose initially, and then I joined DeFi in 2020, started working as core contributor on Nexus Mutual, which was very cool because the protocol got a lot of traction. I was in the insurance space, and it was insuring a notable chunk of on-chain assets and invested in different protocols. Paid out some pretty big claims there, and it was just overall interesting because it was quite a unique app that we were building at the time. Not a lot of people were managing to build a good name in that space. So yeah, the founder had been at it for a few years, so he definitely did a great job there. And then I met Amadeo in 2021 during the the events of 2021. We met in Portugal at the peak of the bull market, and it was a great time to meet a lot of people back then. We had a lot of things in common in terms of our common vision for crypto as a whole, where the industry's heading, the values of the industry and the people in this space, especially related to decentralization, money, and all these things that actually matter, and where the world is heading in that direction. And we actually did work initially on some prototypes for a product at the time that was related to structured DeFi products. But as we all know, 2022 was a pretty harsh bear market, so it was hard to get traction at the time. But a lot of the ideas that came out of that, or the wish to build in the yield space, manifested later in 2023 when we started building YieldNest. And Amadeo and Sean were there early, built some initial versions, and explored some directions. and then picked the restaking direction and narrative, which was an excellent choice at the time. And I joined them around November 2023, and we started building YieldNest as you see it today. So yeah, it's been an awesome journey, and I'm glad to be here, especially since I want to be working in this community and industry for a long time. It's the most interesting space to me, since it is about building money systems that are decentralized and improve the world versus what we've been having for the last century or so with central banking system and a lot of the issues with that model, right? So we're building a new financial system for a better world. I'm pretty confident of that. And yeah, it's the most exciting space to be in technology wise, and I think we're the people that care most about freedom in tech right now. It's really awesome.
Yeah, awesome. And I think we can speak very bluntly here. Then it is recorded though, but I don't mind being a little bit direct. Like me and Dan always say to each other, like, we have to build this, else we're gonna live in a digital prison, right? So it's either we make YieldNest into a success, and we design a way for ourselves and our community and everyone in the world to have a way to park your money in a decentralized way, to park your money so that you have self-control, to park your money outside of the central bank digital currencies. As we have seen recently, there was this weird announcement, I don't know even if it's real, because like there is like apparently the CBDC in Europe is going to be built with Ripple or something, and yeah, so these things are you know, I've been saying already, like for 4 or 5 years, we're gonna live in some sort of a digital prison. It didn't happen yet, so I'm very happy that it didn't happen. But at least there's people like Dan and myself that are pretty paranoid about it and keep building infrastructure so that that we at least have a way to say no when things get a bit too extreme. And even apart that extreme version of reality, like having a way to get exposure to this new decentralized world is also in itself very, very good. So yeah, that's again, thanks Dan and Sean, who's not here right now, but I'm very happy because Dan and Sean have been with us from the start, and they have doing a lot of work in the background to make the GUI work, all the integrations, all the contracts. We're working right now, and this is a pretty cool announcement. It's going to be released after TGE, but we have our stablecoin product, which people are aware of, ynETHx. But we also have an RWA product, YieldNest RWAX, and that's a pilot. So we're working with a big real estate developer that has over $400 million of real estate, and we're going to kind of explore now, like how can we kind of tokenize the private real estate credit, and how can we do that, and how can we get that on chain in a way that we're not having to deal with too much paperwork or KYC AML bullshit. We found a good way forward, and we can probably get around like 12 to 15% yield on USDC in this new RWA product. So it's again a new kind of line. We're exploring that. So that it's also the story of YieldNest, right? Like we started actually as a structured product kind of suite where we were like, well, ETH yield, combining different pools, combining different yield sources, and then restaking was always like one of those sources, right? But at the time when we were building the stack, we found out there was a lot of interest in the restaking angle. So we switched our focus fully on restaking for a bit. But it seems now in that journey to $250 million TVL that like we need to be more flexible, and that's why I created max LRT vaults that give us a lot of flexibility to not only do restaking but also stack different DeFi yields together. And now this stack already is proving very valuable because we can even now use it for our RWA stack, right? So yeah, we're very happy with that decision, right? So yeah, let me go into that, right? Like from the start, I already gave a bit of a introduction about it, but yeah, YieldNest got started as a structured product suite. Then we focused more on the eigenlayer because we had a lot of interest from the VCs and other external people that really were interested in that angle. So we built, I think, the most stable, most decentralized form of a native ynLRT, native liquid restaking token. That is live. It's fully upgraded without issues. The Kelp had a couple of issues with their upgrade. We did it flawlessly, kind of again proving the strength and the resilience of our tech team to get it across the line. We always take open source very seriously. So from the get-go, we've been working open source, and Dan is a real delivery machine. As you can see on GitHub, I would really encourage everybody to go to the YieldNest GitHub and check out all the repos and all the commits, and you will see the amount of effort and amount of commits. It's amazing to see how much velocity and how much progress we have on the code front now. YieldNest has on the background, there is around I think now we have Sean, Dan, Parv, Leon. So we have and then 5 really core backend developers. Then we have Sean F, front-end dev with Shirab, and Ben for the UX UI. So there's this whole there's a whole team behind it. It's not me doing all of it. I'm just coordinating and helping where I can. It's a team effort to get to this stage, right? Yeah, and then in May of last year, actually, so it's been a year now, we have launched ynETH. ynETH was launched with 0 TVL, and we were a little bit, we built the best, most decentralized, cleanest form of ynLRT, and let's go. We're also going to get $1 billion of TVL. That worked until a certain extent. We were lucky enough to get around 10 million, 20 million in ynETH, but it was kind of sticking there for a while because, it's it was sticking there for a while because the whole restaking meta was inflating after we kind of launched. So we're ooh, what do we do now, right? And then because I've always been kind of close also with the BNB ecosystem, I think it's also it's the biggest centralized exchange. It's probably the biggest chain besides ETH with actual activity, and still an EVM-based language. That's really important for us because we don't want to spread our engineering team too thin by having to focus on Rust and Solidity. So we really want to focus on Solidity, or at least one environment, ideally, to kind of keep everything clean. And then we migrated to BNB chain, started our first liquid restaking token on the BNB chain with kernel. That went very well as well, and we got over basically most of the TVL is coming now from BNB chain. And the reason for that is because we built strategies. It's again a testament of a really strong tech stack with Coffer BTC and Enzo. These are also bigger communities that are all kind of coming together and staking at these strategies. And they had a bit of an issue because they wanted to go to kernel, but they also wanted to go to Hemi. And the only way to do that is via YieldNest. There's no other LRT at the moment that can do that in the way that YieldNest does it, because the users, from this case Enzo and Coffer, they came in, did that strategy, they deposited into kernel, and they got a liquid representation of the token, and then they went to Hemi and other places as well. So that was a really, really good boost for YieldNest. And then we were kind of thinking and contemplating of okay, what is next? And then we designed the MaxLRT architecture where we can actually go back to our roots and structure DeFi products, right? So that means that we are not just a standard yield aggregator, we're a yield aggregator that gives you the highest risk-adjusted returns. So for example, in ynETHx, you get around 6 to 15% depending on the market conditions. And ynBNBX as well, there's also a lot of high yields there. And then what we do with our knowledge and network, we integrate these kind of high risk-adjusted return derivatives into other external integrations like Curve or others. And that is really strong because like our efforts are not mainly focused on people going into ynETHx and just stopping there. No, our efforts are like for people to go the highest risk adjusted return and then explore DeFi a little bit if you're comfortable with it. Obviously, any external strategy carries maybe a little bit more risk. So we do reward users that do that. And I'm very happy as of today, our Curve pool has over $12 million of TVL, $12.1 million, even a little bit more, almost 12.2. It's basically people are keep pounding into the pool because the yields are great. You already have the ynETHx in the pool that earns a high yield. Plus you get the ETH in there. You get the swap fees and COV rewards extra on top of that, on top of your high risk adjusted ETH position. So yeah, this is very attractive for a lot of people, and we can see that there's a lot of people in that pool right now. So I'm very, very happy. A lot of organic growth there. And that's also the strength that we kind of want to build on top of, where we create these new derivative products and make them liquid for users. So when, for example, the RWAX is released, we will very quickly be able to set up Spectra pool for it, set up a Euler market, like a Euler lending borrowing market for it, a Curve pool. And we can we can almost build a script for it and just release all these things like in one click. We're very efficient at that at the moment. So yeah, it's very, very amazing. The road we're on right now. And obviously we're now doing one last strategic round led by A41 and a lot of other really cool partners that we're now working with to get a little bit more funds in before we do our TGE. And then we're ready to go. We're very excited to release our governance stack and to eventually, explore ways to have these derivative products and have them more managed by the community or by governors that take a portion of their YND and then become a governor. And then anybody that wants to participate in YieldNest can use the high risk adjusted return products and buy or earn the YND tokens and then stake them to earn part of the protocol revenue. And I think it's a very elegant design, and it's a good timing for us to launch this. I think especially now because of DeFi's becoming hot again. Institutions are coming in a lot. We got a lot of interest from big institutions that want us to work with them and explore strategies, etc. So yeah, very, very exciting. Maybe Dan, you want to share a little bit about the journey as well. What do you have to say about our journey, the timeline?
It's definitely had its ups and downs. I think we're in a very, very good spot right now. It's and we made a few key decisions to get there. So as Amadeo mentioned, launching the Max Vault was a very good decision. Generalizing basically the problems that we solve is very important. So, and I think keeping things simple and having our top level max vaults for ynETHx, ynBNBX, and soon ynUSDX as well is a very important thing because it keeps the product, the high level product, and the way the user interacts with it simple and easy to conceptualize. And we package all of that complexity for you. And that is where the value lies in offering these as not just strategies, so not just store your money there and earn yield, but as liquid assets that have utility, and the rest of DeFi is extremely, extremely valuable. And that's the game that we're playing. And yeah, I'm very, very excited about the RWA direction as well that we're taking. So more clarity will come on that very, very soon. So it's currently under active development. And I think that those are going to be very meaningful changes that we can bring to DeFi, since we all know that it's sort of a circular economy when it's purely digital and there's real yield such as the Ethereum yield, and the rest of it is, let's say, token-based or emission-based yield. That is, of course, temporary, and I think now with the real world being bridged on Ethereum, that's going to mean a lot more stable yields. It's not going to be a cyclical thing based on bull and bear market. So we're going to see a much more mature industry as a whole, and I think a lot of money is just going to stick around, actually, as opposed to the previous bear market. So that's very, very bullish for the industry, but I think for YieldNest as a whole, since we'll be able to generate revenue and generate dividends for token holders well into the bear market. I think that's going to be very interesting. So I think the journey itself was a lot of tough decisions for sure, and we're really focused, like Amadeo mentioned, on building things that are building in the direction of the protocol and making sure that we stay true to the values of the ecosystem. So we're looking to move fast and get product market fit, so we're very aware of that as well. But in the end, we do want to build something that is fully transparent and involves the community more and more over time in terms of governance and the ability to impact the decisions. So that's what we're moving towards.
Yes, and of course making revenue, right? And that's kind of the latter part is like the hardest, like giving community like decision power and all this. So we've been there, we know that, we're building that, and that's actually very important for the growth. And of course, when we all work together very hard, we can actually make a lot of revenue with this. We can become the de facto place where not only structure DeFi products, but also structure these new kind of structured private credit structures or RWA structures to get some more real yield in the room, right? I was actually just came back from Dubai, and I was at a lecture from a developer from another protocol, and he made a really good point that yes, we want to onboard the next billion users into Web3, sure, right? But actually, that is the second step. The first step should be to get more money into our industry, right? And how do we get more money? Well, that's by connecting to these RWA issuers, connecting to maybe other Web2 kind of things, and integrating blockchain technology in these components via E for other blockchains. And that way, making sure that our industry actually makes more revenue. There's more money flowing to the ecosystem. And in that way, we will then attract also more users later on, right? Actually, the user group, all of us here, is already big enough. Eventually we want to have bigger, but let's just increase the revenue for ourselves, for our like niche community, and then later on we can onboard more users, right? And they will learn by themselves. I think that's that is the best way to forward. All right, let's go. I have a lot of AMA questions. I'm gonna go over them. Then you also see them, right? The AMA questions on page 2. So me and Dan will switch between the questions. How did I can already talked about that right before in the earlier thing. How did the idea YieldNest came about? But it's basically what Dan said. We were in Portugal. I was at the time working for a neobank. And Dan was working for Nexus Mutual, and then via my connections I got like invited to a big family office because I've managed 2 other hedge funds in the past, and they came to me and like hey, we want to get into crypto, but we don't know how. And they had like a Bloomberg terminal, and that was the only way for them to get into crypto. It's like, okay, let's make a DeFi structured product that we can list on the Bloomberg terminal. That was kind of my goal in the beginning. But this is like many years ago, and then the family office loved it. They actually then signed off, and they were like, all right, let's work out a proof of concept. And in the middle of working out the proof of concept, they were very nice. They flew me over to Monaco and everything. That was great. Had a free hotel, nice dinners. But after that, nothing really happened, because the thing is how it goes normally with these family offices. They get really interested, and then then they lose interest. But the nice thing is, because we've been through a couple of these cycles, these family offices, they investigated and then stopped losing interest because of the bear market, And now it's bull market again, so they remember all the work that we did in the past, right? So it's good, it's positive, but yeah, that's kind of how it got started. And I was like, oh yeah, DeFi structure probably makes a lot of sense. Was not the right timing at that time. And then, yeah, back now in 2024, basically, or 23, it's like, hey, let's look into this again, because I think it makes a lot of sense to structure these products, because it's really difficult if you have to do all these things manually. And that's how YieldNest got born, and that's how how it got started. It was actually first called DeFi Struct, and then from DeFi Struct, we went to YieldNest because we liked that name more. It was more positive, and yeah, that's how YieldNest got born. And we did our seed round, and that got filled up really fast. And then now we're here. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I think Dan wants to take the next one. The next. I hope this question was clear. If there's any more questions, just ask in the chat. Maybe Dan wants to take question number 2. What was the very first challenge you faced while building, Dan?
That's a good question. I would say it was, yes, thinking back about that. I think initially, I think things went pretty smoothly. We sort of picked the direction, which was the LRT direction. And it wasn't as like there was definitely challenges there in the sense that we started off with the most difficult thing, which was building a native restaking token, and a lot of people were just building ERC20 based restaking protocols, which was easier. So yeah, they're just, you essentially get your own LSD, but that's positive in the long run because having your own native revenue is great. I think the tough decisions and the tough questions while building came around when people started launching the point programs, and we had to make decisions about whether to support that or not, and how expansive should that be, since we knew that intuitively that wasn't going to be the right way to do what we do. So it's going to play a role, but it's not going to be a core technology or the most important thing. So we have to sort of control for how much effort do we put into that and how much does it really play into our stack. Of course, points are useful and they earn people a share of the airdrop and just incentivize actions and all these things that the community's been doing. So, but yeah, that was definitely a challenge that was thrown in, and we weren't fully aligned with it, let's say, from a principal perspective, but yeah, it was interesting to develop that to a certain level. And I think the more challenging thing that came afterwards was when we decided to move that around the max vaults and deciding that is the way to go, and building a more generalized stack that is more flexible, because there were a lot of people building similar things at the same time. So we had Mellow, which had like 4 years of vault experience building vaults of all kinds, and it had like this pretty complex but flexible stack. And then we had Veta, which has this vault product that was launching at the same time, and we sort of looked at all these things that other people were building, and we tried to make it even simpler. So that's why we came around with the max vault, and that was definitely the challenge, because we could see everybody else was moving faster and they were building things more flexible, and they were challenging some of the trust assumptions. So they were sort of eating away at the decentralized aspect a bit more, introducing more trust assumptions into the design, which were not necessarily ideal. So for example, something like Yearn v3 wasn't fit for purpose in a lot of these contexts. So I think like we nailed a great direction there by just learning from all these protocols. So I think that was a challenge, like having all these competitors or like alternative protocols build in different ways, and us deciding like where like how do we move like as fast or faster, and also have like a stack that is able to be decentralized in the future, and of course be very secure and have the right trust assumptions. Yeah. Amadeo, you want to take the next question?
That's right, because it seems Yes, it's definitely always a challenge because like me and Dan, we're maybe a little bit old school, right? We're like, we're gonna build a really decentralized protocol, but then nobody seemed to care. But at the same time, I'm very happy that we have that mindset because that means our foundations is very flexible and strong to make it more and more decentralized over time, right? So we can really navigate that scale very flexibly, right? Yeah, okay, let me take the align the vision and direction. Yeah, the vision and direction alignment is a very difficult thing, especially if you work with really smart engineers and a lot of different emotions, different people. When we were doing the switch to the max RTs, was not really clear if that was the right decision, obviously, or even the direction to the NLRT, right? Was it the right decision? Looking back, the NLT was great, as Dan explained. I'm very happy that we did that because now we have a really hardcore tech proof and kind of showcase of how technically smart and flexible we are. It's just not easy to build that. And yeah, basically the way we mostly get products done is listening a lot to you guys, to the community. Some of you guys know this, and we actually, we do a lot of user interviews. I personally go out and talk to a lot of community members. I literally, I was just in Dubai, or 2 days ago, I had a dinner with front end Sean, and I literally asked the waiters, like, hey, what do you think about this app? Do you understand it? And I ask random people off the street, or people that I meet somewhere, like, hey, take a look at this at my phone. What do you think? Or this is my idea. Do you like it or not? Right? So a startup is all about iterating as fast as possible. That's for me also what I learned, where I also have a little of an engineering background. So when we kind of got started, we kind of went very quickly into this really hardcore, more tech direction, which is, again, I think it's a good thing. It gave us a good foundation. But now what we learned is, like, especially in DeFi and this market, it's actually going faster than even before, right? When I got started in crypto, and then like it was like, oh, we have AMMs. Wow, that's like a new development, or a CDP model. Wow, right? That was it. Like, okay, now there's every day there's some new hot shiny thing, and it's just the industry is maturing. So in order to be flexible, we have to be faster in iterating. And so how we do now, we shoot products faster, and we launch them, and we get feedback, and we iterate, get feedback, iterate. So everybody listening, please give us unsalted feedback. We have a very thick skin, and we actually love, I'm Dutch, so I love people that are direct. If anything is shit, just say it to us, don't worry. But don't make too much drama, please. But just say if something is not good, like, hey guys, please look at this. And you can see how fast we try always to respond in the community and iterate and learn. Yeah, feedback is welcome. That's very important for us. I will also take the next one. Just gonna move on. Yeah, so I would say it's iterations. It's the iterations. When we, like I've been in crypto for a long time, and the BTC-fi thing is not really a new thing, right? So I was actually involved with Rootstock a little bit, in the sense of, like, I found it interesting and I was like exploring it. This is a 7-year-old project. Everything that all these Bitcoin layer 2 stuff is doing is, apart from the Hemi is doing something a little bit new. So that's why we're interested in that. But all the other things is just the same thing that Rootstock already did 7 years ago, right? So we need to take it with a grain of salt, but we also need to be fast enough to have a product ready so that we can capture that TVL. We can capture those BTC whales that are interested in moving some money around. And we capture that very well by launching these strategies right in time. So that was a major boost in our TVL growth. And also, I would say it's just a lot of hustling, right? There's not really one thing that is like, oh, you did this one thing and then TVL go up. No, it's a lot of small steps, right? Like, as you guys know, we are finally listed on Pendle, but that took us a long time to get listed there, right? So now we have a listing on Pendle, on BNB chain. Spectra market is up. Our curve pool is doing great. So it's like all this. It's all these steps, all these little steps that are combined that will, make it happen, right? What ecosystem partnership are key to the protocol's rise? Yeah, I would say Curdle really helped us. Spectra, Curve, Convex, Yearn. Like it was really good to speak to these OGs, right? Like just like Wavy is one of our advisors, so I take advice and feedback from these protocols very seriously. So I would say a lot of these OG protocols, what me and Dan normally do, like on a monthly or bi-weekly basis, we have calls with our advisors, Naga King or Wavy or other smart people in the space that we just pull on a call and we ask, how are you doing? What do you think of our product? What can we do better? What would you suggest? Do you like it or you hate it? And again, it's these feedback loops that are really helpful. And I would say like the blue chip protocols helped us a lot. Dan, yes, you can take number 7. I will do the last one in the LRT space, right? Yeah, I would say the way we stand out in the crowded LRT space is by being different, by iterating and actually being not only an LRT anymore, but being DeFi structured product to kind of showcase people that, an LRT is all about capital efficiency. I wrote like a whole Sahol research article about it. Maybe parts can paste that in the chat again. Alea research and Sahol research. And Lamarisk beyond shared security. So I wrote a lot of like articles about this, and I think this also made us stand out. Like we know what we're talking about. Restaking and shared security is fantastic, but we need to go beyond that. We need to go not only to like shared security in the network sense, we also need to have shared security in the economic sense, and I'm really waiting for that. And it seems that it's going to take a while before the LRT space in itself is catch up on that. And instead of being grumpy about that or being like, oh, it's not happening, just move forward and iterate. And we build our own max LRT vaults. And ideally, we use the restake capital at some point for like risk underwriting or the junior or senior tranching. But we put that in the roadmap, in the backlog. We have a huge backlog of ideas we want to do. But as I said before, we always try to use the most pragmatic route and the most secure and good route. Yeah, maybe Dan, you want to go next. So the next question is, how do you ensure scalability while maintaining protocol security? Yeah.
That's an interesting question because depending on what you're looking at, scalability means different things. So traditionally, it meant how does your system scale to a lot of users or to a lot of funds. And I think here it could also mean just in terms of how do we scale out our yield strategies? How do we support multiple strategies or complex things that allow us to give the risk-adjusted yield that we give? So yeah, I would say definitely DeFi, the challenge is less about like large numbers of users. I mean, people interacting with the chain, or basically the chain is scalable because you're on Ethereum, so you just get so much stuff for free as opposed to like a traditional backend. And in terms of funds is basically, again, it's the building smart contract systems. They just implicitly scale to whatever numbers you're dealing with. So I would say for us, it's more about a challenge of moving fast enough with the demands of the industry and how things are fluctuating. Let's say that you're building out the max vaults and you're tapping into different yield sources, and these change all the time. They oscillate where some might dry out for a while and then come back afterwards, and managing that, the complexity, and also new opportunities. So let's say a new protocol is coming out, like resupply, and then thinking about a way of packaging that for end users so they can tap into that as part of ynUSDx. So that's one direction. So I would say that the scalability is more of a challenge in that direction. And balancing that with security is definitely something we think about all the time, because when you could obviously take like design very simple systems that are very centralized and allow you to essentially earn yield for users in maybe in a easy way you could get into these opportunities very quickly in an app, but definitely has risks, and then it has implications of like you're centralizing the protocol. So yeah, it's sad. All these trade-offs are very, very important for us. So that's why we're building, at least the way we're looking at it is from a tech perspective, we're just building very flexible components. Like for example, the rule engine that goes into our Max Vault, which essentially creates this permissions layer that is built in a very simple way. So I think we distilled it down to like a very, very simple way of defining what kind of transactions a Max Vault can do, or a strategy within a Max Vault can do. So it's like a bound to what each strategy in each Max Vault can do. So that's our rule-based engine, and that's one thing. And then we have this common framework for creating new strategies, and we're developing one more that is built off of the previous one that allows us to go into all these spaces like RWA and cross-chain strategies. So that's another common layer there that's coming out very, very soon, next month. And we're looking very closely at new technologies. So what's been changing about securing all these things and making sure that the trust assumptions look good is the coprocessor technology. So we're paying very close attention to things like brevis and space and time, and looking to use those as soon as we can in terms of essentially leveraging the new ZK proof technologies here. So traditionally we did everything on chain. When we said, oh, we want a decentralized computation, you would just go ahead and build that in Solidity. But of course, that may not work well if you're, again, I guess this is a scalability thing, where if you have like a multitude of strategies and it's not gas efficient to do certain computations or allocations or engine decisions on chain, right? So now we have like a lot of more technologies that are very, very close to mainstream, already in production, and mostly in the coprocessor space, to essentially use ZK proofs to compute things that are not just done on chain, and compute them in a very secure way, and allow like very implementation of things like cross-chain strategies, or let's say decision engines that ingest a bunch of data, and then you have the ZK proof that shows like, yeah, we actually did this computation that made this decision, or we did this computation and it resulted that the total assets or the price per share for this cross-chain strategy is this. And then that, of course, settles down into the base layer, into our Max Vaults on Ethereum. But you use all of these things now to make things more scalable. So I guess that is related to scalability. So that's how we're approaching. Like, we want to be at the forefront of this. Of course, not using something that's not fit for production, but we're looking to use all these technologies very soon to tighten up the security of the protocol, and also scale out to like more diverse strategies that were not really easy to do before, or it was just cumbersome to do. For example, cross-chain strategies, and you have like a lot of risk pain points. Maybe you have to trust this weird bridge, or all sorts of things that were not very reliable. So yeah, I hope that answers the question. But yeah, very, very good question.
It's an amazing question, and like I said this multiple times in the chat, right? Like, my vision and my goal of what I want DeFi to look like for everyone, and to kind of onboard these billion users. First place, everybody here, we're gonna make more money. Like, so we're gonna level up. We're gonna have this unfair knowledge advantage over the rest of the world, basically, by understanding like, oh, DeFi structured products, DeFi like money flows, etc. You will just learn so much, right? And Mr. Jumper, we had Mr. Jumper and I, we had like a really nice like one-on-one like user call, like how you doing, and like how's everything going, and we really want to work together. And like he also said, like, you learn so much by just learning about these instruments, diving deep yourself, and there's a long way to go still, but I think we're making a good start here by making this really simple page in the front, right? And then we want the users to get high risk adjusted yields. They just get like this derivative token, ynETHx, ynBNB max, very simple, keep it in the wallet. Oh, number go up, I make yield, great, right? You don't have to make it too complicated. That's like the first step. But then if you go deeper, go to the advanced page, you go read the research that we publish. You kind of maybe go to an external integration. You provide some liquidity to the LP pool. Like, we really want users to kind of slowly but surely lean into that complexity, because it's impossible for anybody to do that by themselves. Oh, I see 0x Law also joined. Amazing. Welcome, sir. Yeah, 0x Law is a perfect example of I will call him, and this is recorded, so you can save this clip, Law. But like, I think he's a DeFi WizKid, right? So we met each other, and it's awesome. Like, we basically met each other on chain, right? Because we met each other on chain in the sense of, like, we have our products, and we thought, hey, what is that Address doing? He's doing really smart things with our products. Like, wow, that's just fantastic, right? And then we started to talk, and from the community, and yeah, it's really awesome to work together with smart people like yourself and everybody here. We want to encourage that, and we want to encourage, like, eventually to elect governors for our strategies. Like, that's why we have the ynD tokens, right, and the VE ynD model. So YieldNest DAO tokens are a speculative token that don't earn anything, right? But so it's like the speculation is kind of divided to the real users, right? So people that want to speculate, they can exchange ynD on any, like, centralized exchange. We have some really good centralized exchanges that are coming up, and then you can go speculate on ynD, right? Oh, speculate, buy, sell, perps, whatever. Then if you want to actually become an active participant, you stake your ynD either at a liquid locker, if you want to be a bit more hands-off, or you stake it in your own VE ynD locker and start participating in the governance, start participating in the sub-DAOs, and that's really what we're trying to achieve here. Yeah. Also, I will also share one more research. Like, yeah, the Alea research is fantastic. Another one that's also really good is, let me find it. So, whole research. I didn't see that yet. Let me see if I find it. Where is it? Oh, here we go. Can you find this whole research article, please? I can find it right now, parts. But anyway, I drop it in the chat in a bit. Oh, here we go. Oh, yeah, I got it. Unlocking capital efficiency and beyond. I think this is a really, really important article, because, like, it dives really deep into the productive asset kind of frame. Yeah, let's see how many questions we said. Security, DeFi space. Yeah, I will. Yeah, I'm going to read this article a little bit. Let me actually drop it here. Here we go. And I actually go over the most important one. This is the most important slide here. See, yeah, you guys can see my article. This is actually very cool, because this is from my old course that I gave, DeFi 201. Maybe some people remember that. And DeFi 201 I did at the Ivan on Tech Academy. Basically, in my opinion, this is the most important thing to understand of what DeFi does and how DeFi can make assets way more productive, right? So instead, in centralized finance, the world we live in right now is determined by bureaucracy, right? So instead of code or some databases, no. It's a bureaucrat that sits somewhere, and there is some trust-based software, a little bit, that, you know, some old IBM databases and bullshit that these things still run on, and there's a bureaucrat sitting there, right? So the settlement layer for fintech and traditional finance, CeFi, is not code. The source of truth is a bureaucrat somewhere. There's no cryptographically guarantee immutability of the transactions. So that means if I do now a transaction in my bank, there's no guarantee that it actually happens, right? So like credit card fraud or these transactions that rebounds in traditional finance, it's a huge cost burden, right? Okay, so DeFi, the main difference is that in DeFi, there's no bureaucrat or technology gatekeeper between the builder and the idea, or the user and the idea. The reason that I say builder here is because the course specifically I was giving was for like Web 2 devs that wanted to move to Web 3. And it's actually really even much more important that in DeFi, we remove the barrier for builders to build like innovative financial structuring, right? Because right now, if you like, oh, I'm gonna build a new bank, or I build a new derivative product. Well, good luck with that. You need probably like $5 million and a bunch of lawyers to do so. In crypto, you also need a lot of money because of all the the smart contracts and things are not that mature yet. But at least we're not spending all that money on just lawyers. We're spending all that money on technology, right? So the execution of the critical logic is secured as it happened. The focal point is not performance, but trust, right? I think this is, for me, the most important gate. And then you see it here in a nice illustration, right? I think this is like a really important slide. And I hope that from 2020, this is probably right before we met each other then that I gave this course. And yeah, you can see here all the evolution. This goes really deep into like why it's important to have productive assets, right? It goes all the way, I would highly recommend everybody to read it. It goes all the way into the Roman times, right? So in the old times, if you would actually save your money in gold, you would just like preserve your capital, right? But it's been very hard, like generational or over the ages, to save capital and not let it be stolen by like evil people, or not get it like inflated away. You always kind of get rock pooled somehow, right? But in crypto, we create this parallel system with actual productive assets that you can easily move around, transport, take with you, right? And I think that's really, really important. And then that's this is a very, an article that I wrote there. So please all check it out. And I think that also hooks into the next question. What key gaps we're trying to solve? Well, we're trying to make productive assets liquid, so that you can have a liquid productive asset you can carry around, and anytime you want, you can exit it for fiat or any liquidity you need. Money is a content type. If you go in DeFi and you have your money there, your value there, and then at some point you need to pay taxes or you need to do something in the real world, you should be able to click and spend it, right? And that's where we're working. The YieldNest is not building the bank. We're building the back-end technology for people to build these structured products, and we're building these things ourselves as well. And that's what we focused on. Question number 9, why did you choose to focus on the Ethereum LSTs first? Yeah, that's a great question. Well, I think Ethereum has the highest settlement guarantees. As I said, the focal point is not performance, but trust. If you look at that, I think the settlement guarantees on ETH are the highest. So logically, I was like, well, let's start there and expand then later to BNB chain. Question number 10, what was the most difficult internal decision the team had to make? Yeah, I think that was, I don't know, it's probably, there's actually a lot of difficult decisions every day that we have to make. I don't know the most difficult one, there were many, I don't have a specific one. What advice would you give to someone starting a DeFi protocol today? I would say really start with the why and start with purpose, because it's very easy in this violence. There's a lot of violence and a lot of very difficult decisions that you have to make constantly, and it's really helpful to have like other people around you like Dan or Sean or other people that share the same ethos and share the same like why are we doing this, the same purpose. So if you start a DeFi protocol and if you just do it just to become rich or something, don't do it, right? You have to really do it with a purpose. And a purpose for us is to build products, build tech stack, so that when things become more difficult and with CBDCs and stuff, that we have this whole open source tech stack to build and rebuild a better parallel financial system. That's the purpose. That's why I'm here. And I think that's also why Dan is here. So that purpose is really important, I would say. Yeah, I'm very sorry. I have to jump into a next call. But is there maybe let's take 1 or 2 more questions, guys, from the community. Please let me know. Any questions? This was a really good one. Yes. Maybe Dan has some closing words.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been great. That's my first AMA, so awesome to get to talk to everybody. In closing, I think we just have a lot of very, very exciting things lined up. I think we are we definitely have a better oiled machine. And when we started, like our team's been getting better, our protocol's been getting better, and it just feels like we're things are moving smoother. So that's usually a good sign. And we're not planning to slow down. We're planning to accelerate and take advantage of the fact that things are going well. And it's going to be a very, very exciting next 6 months for the rest of the year. A lot of cool launches, and we'll be there to capture all the new awesome opportunities in DeFi and yield.
Yes, awesome. Yeah, one really positive thing that I will end with, I'm very happy with that. I'm a little bit of a fanboy of Kane from ynETHx. He built also ynETHx, and I did ping him multiple times to get listed on ynETHx. But then actually kind of more organically, YieldNest, ynETHx and ynETH got listed on ynETHx. It's a really cool platform to, if you don't want to store your own private keys, it stores the private keys in your chipset of your computer or of your phone, and you can use DeFi. So I'm really, really happy with that. That's exactly what I wanted, because we are trying to build the best front end, but obviously we get always outcompeted by other really cool front ends. And we want to build that tech stack, as Dan highlighted. We want to build the protocol, and then other people integrate with us. And it's really cool to see that is happening. Let me see if I can find it here. Yeah, here we go. It's really cool to see that. It's just a milestone for myself, because I'm a big fan of ynETHx. I have been using the protocol for some time, and now seeing that we got listed here on the earn page, that's really cool. It's really cool to see that this organically, without us having to do like 10 phone calls or discussions. This is all organic, no BD, just organic like integrations. Because of shout out to Dan. Dan builds great smart contracts. When you build great smart contracts, other protocols pick it up and integrate you. DeFi Lego, the whole philosophy, it's working out. All right, guys. Thank you so much. And I found it. Thank you, BVM. Like, it's funny because like I actually didn't know about it. Like I just heard it yesterday that I was there. I didn't know, so it was a very funny moment. But very happy that happened very organically. So yeah, super cool to see that. All right, guys, onwards and upwards, and I hope in the next AMA, that's probably in 1 or 2 weeks, that we can share some dates and some bigger announcements. So let's go. A lot of moving parts. We're full steam ahead. I keep drinking coffee, energy drinks, just like Dan. Keep pressing forward. All right, guys. See you. Bye bye.